Greetings, Dithda. Today will be the demonstration Coming to America. No little concern is being manifested by the British government on account of the uninterrupted exodus of Irish and Cornish peasants to America. Writing from Plymouth, England, United States Consul Stevens says, the British press has called special attention during the last month to the continued and what they term alarming flight of the Irish and Cornish of America. Over 22,000 have gone from Ireland alone during the present year, and the exodus, which has received an impetus from the cheap fares, goes on without interruption. It is asserted, no greater menace to Ireland's future than this appalling drain of immigration. It is drawing out of the country the best of its peasant class for America, calling you peasants, lower. You're all supposed to be equal in the eyes of law. They're calling you peasants, but you have your nationality. We have to honor our foremothers and forefathers. We can't go to a strange land and then start claiming being sovereign or making laws or being able to have rights to the resources. You do that on the homeland, your nation land. You came to the Americas, they crossed out the Cornish and made you white, colorable. You're naturalized and you're seen as peasants and inferior, drawing out of the country the best of its peasant class for America. But what for America? To see how much you can jump through hoops and how fast you can jump through hoops and how much you'll defend it, and leaving the undesirables behind. But the undesirables, who they kept their nationality. They didn't go to America and get naturalized so they could be peasants and work in mines. Never before have the Irish people manifested such a determination to leave their country. At present, they are leaving at the rate of 2,000 per week, and no argument advanced to keep them in their island has the slightest effect. They're ready to sell out their birthright. The same condition, though in a modified form, applied to Cornwall. The mining industry at home is dead, but you can't be industrious and find other ways? In the British colonies, conditions are not at all favorable. And as far as British colonies, these are the ones who is taking advantage of you anyway. Hence, the weekly exodus to America. Those already in the United States send home money as rapidly as possible to assist their relatives and companions in Cornwall. You have to be industrious, brothers and sisters. I always give this example. You can go look it up on YouTube. In Venezuela, the money dropped and everybody threw their money in the streets, the cash, the paper, or the fiat. So there was a brother that started collecting all the paper off of the streets and started folding them and making like little jewelry out of them. And then soon he started his own little store and started selling the bracelets and necklaces he made out of this cash, this paper. So be industrious. You got to stay connected with each other. Cornish-American Club annual picnic, 1912. On Saturday, August 17th, the members of the Cornish-American Club with their families. You see, you cannot let go of your nationality, your homeland. When we all took an exodus over here from Cornwall, before that, the Moors was ran out of Ireland. So you got to think about that as well. But when we left the land, we abandoned it. Like, you have to think about that. We gave away land and the resources. We was perfect. We knew how to mine tin, silver, salt, and all of that. But we couldn't do it for ourselves and use our own land to get our resources and start using that as commerce. That's what is called chasing after the gods of Europe. Being in cities, that's very dependent upon someone else. You're not dependent at all. And I guarantee our foremothers and forefathers knew how to get their own water, their own shelter, their clothing, and all of that when they was on the land without nobody. They didn't have to take an exodus, but we did. But for why? Because we lost our ways of our foremothers and forefathers. We lost the way of being in the fold of law, being in union with the nations of the earth. Undesirables are those who do not wish to call themselves by the nationality or their national descent. They don't have a divine creed, a national flag. They look upon another foreign state for their national flag or their de facto flag so they can do commerce within a territory. But this proves directly the main plan for the Cornish to be put over here was to do peasant work, to be in these mines and to do dirt work, to be servants for other people who did not pay you a fair wage. You die in the mines and you die in those mines. And that's just the way it is. They want to make it look heroic, but it's not heroic. It was being a peasant because you gave away your nationality. You naturalized and you became the undesirable. But honors to the ones who stayed and bit into their arm before they gave away their nationality. So honors to the foremothers and the forefathers who did that. You have people in these days and times who call themselves white, like the Cornish birds or the Cornish hens. They got white hens, black hens, Indian Cornish hens. You want to call yourself a color like a Cornish hen. When you're a human, you have a nationality. Quit calling yourself colorable terms. And maybe, just maybe, they'll stop treating us like an animal. It's like an employer that knows that you can't quit your job because of all your bills and stuff. He'll put on as much work as he wants because he knows you're not going to quit. So when these Cornish brothers and sisters got over here into America, they didn't have no way back. They said, either you're going to do this work. So they did the work no matter what. They was in a corner. You know how much pressure they had? They should have stayed at home. So then you have the Tangier Island hooked to the Americas. Also, when you look at Cornwall on that side, it's known as an American state, because they know it was connected to Tangier at one time on the west. We already did the demonstration in regards to Portugal and the Moorish Empire. Like I said, the Moors was ran out of Ireland, and it was the British, the English. Portugal has the flag celebrating the 5 Moorish kings that was defeated. United States is connected with Portugal. So all of it was really Christianity against Islam, taking all the lands, and they pushed you off because your divine creed is really Islamism. We did the story about the Muslim who came to Cornwall and assisted in rebuilding the church that was getting ready to be taken. Muslims always helped you. And the horses. Islam is connected with Cornwall through the breeds of horses. That's where the horses come from. Also, the Byzantine coins, like I said, that's on the crest. Byzantine, those are Moorish mazunas. Those are Moorish coins. And then the Christians stamped their faces over them afterwards. Also, they speak of the Black Prince, quote unquote, which is really the Moorish prince because it was known as Blackamoor, but Moor doesn't mean black, but it's just describing as far as a Moor. It was the Moorish prince. And when you go look at the image of him, you can tell that his hair is woolly. So anyone that's in the Americas calling themselves white, I would stop that immediately and stand on your Cornish ancestry. There's no documentation you have on a license, birth certificate, or anything saying you're a U.S. citizen or anything. You're stateless because you don't have a nationality. There is nation states, and nation states have a nationality. United States isn't a nationality. Know yourself and your Father God Allah, that you may learn to love instead of hate. Every man need to worship under his own vine and fig tree. This is the uniting of Asia, of all nations coming together to learn to love instead of hate.